Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video in the musical arts series here at Excite All Stars. My name is Coach Idris, and this is lesson 2 in Introduction to Singing. This lesson is called Voice Types. Today we're going to be talking about the different voice types, vocal ranges, the difference between your head voice and your chest voice. We're going to get to know all these terms and then do a little bit of a vocal exercise. Let's get started. All right, so let's talk a little bit about voice types. If you have never been in a choir before, or have never actually taken vocal lessons, then you may not know what your voice type is. I will try to help you figure that out as we do some exercises today. But first I want to let you know what voice types there actually are. Voice types are designated between male and female just because male and female voices are so different. Generally, females can sing a lot higher than males can, and of course, males can sing a lot lower than females can. There is overlap in the ranges, don't get me wrong, but to designate the actual voices, we use different terms for male and female. So for the female, you've got your 3 basic designations: soprano, mezzo-soprano, and alto. Soprano is the female voice that can sing very, very high notes. Mezzo-soprano is high but mid-range, and alto is the female voice that can sing very, very low notes. There are actually 2 designations beyond both of the highest and the lowest. So you have your soprano, which is your highest voice, but then you also have soprano 2. Soprano 2s can hit those really, really high notes. It's very impressive. And then, of course, the lowest voice type for females is alto, but below that you have contraltos. Contraltos can sing extremely low, some notes that only male voices that are just really deep can hit. So contraltos are very, very impressive in their own right because they can get really, really low. Now for males, you also have your 3 basic voice types. You've got your tenors. Tenors are males that can sing high, pretty high. A good tenor voice is so lovely, so sweet. You've got your baritones, which is the mid-range male voice type. And you've got your bass. Basses can sing really low, and they make that really nice drone sound sometimes. All the different voice types blend together in such a beautiful way when you really utilize them in the ways that they're supposed to be used. But there is one more voice type for males, and that is called a countertenor. Countertenors are males who can sing so high that they can hit the notes that mostly only females can sing. It's crazy to watch a contralto sing in their element. It is so cool. But we're going to be worrying about the basic types. So tenor, baritone, and bass for males, soprano, mezzo-soprano, and alto for females. As for myself, my voice type is mezzo-soprano. That means that I can hit some high notes and I can hit some low notes, but I'm most comfortable in that mid-range of singing. Now, I was talking about vocal range. What does that actually mean? Well, every person has their own unique vocal range, which is basically the highest note you can sing to the lowest note that you can sing. Everyone's range is different, and that's how you know whether or not you're a soprano, a mezzo-soprano, an alto, a tenor, a baritone, or a bass. Now, once we actually go through some of these vocal exercises, what you'll start to notice is the higher you get, the tighter your voice is gonna get. And if you reach a point where it feels like you're straining and you're just like, and it's beginning to hurt, stop singing. You need to stop, because if it hurts, you're doing something wrong. There is a range that you start off with when you begin your vocal training, and it is possible to widen your range, to train your voice to have an easier time getting higher in that register or even lower in the register, because it's possible to really hurt your voice if you're trying to go really low as well. So basically, if it's hurting, you're doing something wrong, and you need to do more exercises to just stretch your vocal cords and get that range wider. it's possible to do that, but you got to be careful about it, and you just got to make sure that you're not straining your voice when you're doing these exercises. So keep that in mind whenever we do actually go through a warm-up. If it gets too high and you can't actually do it, do not push it. You don't want to hurt yourself, okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about that range. So the range is from the highest note to the lowest note that you personally can sing. Everyone has a head voice and a chest voice. These are different ways that we are able to sing, and your head voice and chest voice are within the range that you're capable of singing. Your head voice sounds like this. It's up high in the register, and I can go up and I can come down and up. That's your head voice. It's just your head voice. It's up here. And what I'm speaking with now, my speaking voice, is generally your chest voice. That's kind of how you know it's your chest voice. It's coming from down here. It's coming from right in here, as opposed to this is coming from up here. You see the difference? So your head voice and your chest voice are within your vocal range. Then there's that spot in between your head voice and your chest voice. So if I were to go, there's a point in the middle where your head voice switches into your chest voice. That is called your bridge. It's a bridge from your head to your chest. Somewhere around there. So now you know the different voice types that there are. You know the difference between your head voice and your chest voice. And next we're going to learn a couple of music theory terms that will really help us out when we start doing our vocal exercises. Music theory is basically the language or the math of music. It's how you visualize music, which is something you can't actually see or touch. It's how they put it on paper. Music theory is how music is put on paper. You may know that notes in music are represented as letters, so everyone knows exactly what note we're talking about. The letters follow the letters of the alphabet from A through G. There are no notes that go beyond G. It's just A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then there's variations of those notes to understand the notes in between those notes. It's a little bit difficult to explain, but don't worry, you don't need to know all of that. For now, what you need to know is two major terms, which are scales and arpeggios. These terms we are going to be using in our vocal exercises. Now I'm going to get my trusty melodica here so that I can explain properly what a scale and an arpeggio are. We're going to start, of course, with scales. So scales are a series of notes in ascending or descending order. Basically a series of notes that go up or a series of notes that go down. And when I say up, I mean higher in pitch. So let's start with a major scale on C, okay? That note is a C note. So we'll go up, we'll do it on ascending scale first. The notes went up. That's called an ascending scale. And now let's do a scale down. You've probably heard this before, and in fact, you might recognize solfege. Solfege is basically there's syllables that we use to represent a scale. And I'll say solfege for you on C. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Have you heard that before? That might sound familiar. That's what's called solfege. And yeah, it just represents the notes in a scale. So we will be using that. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. If you notice, it starts on do and ends on do. That is what's known as an octave because there are a total of 8 notes there, although technically the first and 8th note are the same note, so it's really only 7 notes. But an octave is a note that is separated by 7 other notes or has 7 steps until it gets back to itself just at a higher pitch. Because it's the same note, it's just different pitches. Pitches like, you know, how high or low it sounds. All of those were the same note, just at a different pitch. They were octaves apart. One octave. That's another octave. So these are some things you need to know as we are going through some of our vocal exercises. So that's what a scale is. Some people, instead of using do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, will also just use numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 8, same note. And using numbers will actually help us with our next definition, which is arpeggios. An arpeggio is when you play the notes in a chord separately. So a chord is 3 or more notes played at the same time, usually in some sort of harmony. So this is a C major chord. 1, 3, 5, do, mi, sol. Instead of 1, 2, 3, I'm just skipping straight from 1, 3, and then 1, 3, 5. That's a chord. What I did when I played them separately, that's an arpeggio. That is another exercise that we're going to be doing. So it'll be something like 1, 3, 5, 8, 5, 3, 1. 1, 3, 5, 8, 5, 3, 1. So now you know what an arpeggio is, as well as a scale. And these are things that are going to help us in our vocal exercises. Lovely, we're learning so much today, guys. Okay, now that we're a little bit more familiar with the vocabulary, let's do some exercises. So I want you, if you're not already, stand up. Get your feet shoulder width apart. Remember proper posture from last time. Feet shoulder width apart, shoulders back. And actually what we're gonna do is we're gonna warm up the body a little bit, okay? Because we can't sing if we've got tension up in here, all right? Keep your knees unlocked, so nice and loose. Let that oxygen and that blood flow through freely so you don't pass out. And I just want you to start off with some shoulder rolls. Yes, we're going to do some shoulder rolls. So just get that going. Get that tension out of your shoulders. Because we need all this to be nice and loose up here, okay? The only place that we want tension or that we want to be engaged is in your core, because that's where your diaphragm is. That's where all the power is going to be coming from. That's where the tension should be, if there's any tension at all. Not in your knees, not in your shoulders. So roll back and roll forward. Yeah, we're just getting out those kinks. Okay. Whew. Shake out your arms a little bit. All right, now move your head like this. Stretch out your neck on this side. Be gentle with your body. Take some deep breaths as we stretch out our neck. And do the other side. Stretch it out right here. Some deep breaths, stretching out the tension in our neck. This is all very, very important. It actually makes a huge difference for when you do start singing. Okay. Now I want you to stretch out your jaw a little bit. Feel it opening up right in here. Might as well massage a little bit on the side of your head here too. Lots of tension can build up in here. We want that all to be nice and smooth and loose. Okay. All right. And now, stand with your shoulders back and down, opening up the chest, opening up the diaphragm. Okay, now let's try a couple of yawning exercises just to get that palate moving, okay? Pretend like you're yawning and just go, Just stretch out that voice. It doesn't have to be on a particular note or anything, just let it fall. Ah. Do that a couple times. Ah. Ah. How about from low to high? Ah. Ah. We're just sliding and we're kind of stretching our voice. May seem a little bit silly, but it actually does help. Ah. Ah. Reversed yawn. Ah. Let's try it again from high to low. Ah. 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 Just doing a little bit of stretching. Okay, and now that we've done that, let's try a little bit of lip rolls. Lip rolls are a very good tool for strengthening your voice. It actually works to help your vocal cords and your diaphragm to work together. It forms a really strong partnership there because when you do lip rolls like this, you have to engage your core a little bit more because you need to push a little bit more air through to push those lips. Give that a try. It doesn't have to be on any note, any particular note, just be gentle with your mouth too, just nice and loose. If you're having a hard time doing the lip rolls, just practice it every once in a while. Don't push too hard. It should be very, very loose and relaxed. Don't put too much of a emphasis on the ba ba or the p. It's not a p. It's not a buzzing. It's a. It's a gentle kind. That really engages your vocal cords and your diaphragm together. It's an excellent exercise. So just give that a try a little bit. And now we are starting to warm up our voice. Can you feel it, guys? All right, so now we talked about arpeggios before. Let's start on C. Well, that was wrong. We're gonna start right there. And then we're gonna go up a half step. So, and let's go up a half step. That'll be our new one. Don't worry if you're not sounding very clear yet or anything like that. These are just exercises to get your voice warmed up and to get it kind of moving a little bit. So that stuff doesn't matter if it sounds perfect or anything like that. Just try to get your voice to be stretching and moving, okay? Let's do a couple more up and then we'll go back down. It's very important when you're trying to go up to those higher notes that you're not pushing yourself too much in that highest part. I realize I may have made it sound like that. As opposed to you want it to be nice and smooth and easy, which of course it will get easier the more we practice and the more that we warm our voice up. Which, by the way, if you want the most out of these lessons, you should be warming up like this every day, at least for 5 to 10 minutes. So we went up, and I'm gonna stop there just because I'm not really sure what the ranges are for everybody. It's getting a little high for me as a mezzo soprano. So we're gonna start back at C. Ah. And we're gonna go down. So let's do that C one more time. Ah. Ah. Starting to get in my head voice, in my chest voice there as we keep going. All right, excellent work, guys. I hope you're able to follow along. That was our first vocal exercise to kind of feel what the ranges might feel like going up and then coming down. If you felt more comfortable doing the higher notes, maybe you're a soprano, maybe you're a tenor. If you felt much more comfortable doing the lower notes, maybe you're an alto, or if you're a guy, maybe you're a bass. If you felt pretty good in the mid-range around that C note, that's where I live, then maybe you're a mezzo-soprano or a baritone. I hope you learned some things today, and next time, now that we know these terms and things like that, we're going to do a lot more vocal exercises, a lot more things to kind of focus on stretching your range, getting vocal agility, resonance, all of that stuff. It's all going to make sense. So thank you so much for participating today, guys. This was vocal types and vocal warm-ups today on the musical arts series here at Excite All Stars. Again, I'm Coach Idris, and I can't wait to keep singing with you. So until next time, guys, have a lovely day. Bye.